Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio. I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. And when I started this show in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women-owned businesses and help women succeed by providing resources and valuable tips from other women and men, small business owners. In each interview, my guests speak openly about their triumphs, the scary times, and tough decisions they have to make along the way. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strengths to achieve success on their own terms. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. I'm really glad that you could join me today. And if you're listening to this on Podomatic, then I would suggest you also can find this show on iTunes, and also it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and several other platforms now. And you can find those out if you go to womenentrepreneursecrets.com. And there you will find the link under podcasts, and you can see links for different platforms that the show's on. So it's on YouTube, and I share it on LinkedIn. So there's different places if you have a favorite place that you like to go. And also, if you are on Apple Podcasts, which I guess is what iTunes has become, that'd really be wonderful if you could share your feedback, review, or anything like that. Because, of course, with algorithms being what they are everywhere on social media, then if you share your review, that will help the show to be found by more listeners. So I hope that you will take a moment to do that. That would really be appreciated. Also, if you want to hear more about me, you can go to my website, thebellycoach.com. You can hear more about or read more about my books and my services. And also I have a fiction site, brightstreetbooks.com, that you can find out more about my fiction writing. So I hope that you will also visit those sites as well. So right now we're going to get started with my guest today. And Nancy McKay is a certified life coach living in Lakewood, Colorado with her husband Jimmy and her two rescued Westies, Maggie and Tommy. And Nancy's life experiences of growing up in an alcoholic household, being sober for over 10 years herself, and an ovarian cancer survivor give her a unique perspective on becoming empowered to heal later in life. Nancy has earned her certification as a Wayfinder Life Coach from Martha Beck, Inc., as well as a mind-body eating coach from the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. Nancy also spends a great deal of time working with horses and honing her skills while she is in training to become a Certified Equus Coach through the Koelle Institute for Equus Coaching. This diverse background and experience in training provides her clients multiple resources for healing and growth. And Nancy's clients are women who are looking for a confidential, safe space to share their stories, struggles, challenges, and desires. Clients want to gain clarity, perspective, and to build their strengths and overcome their weaknesses. Nancy is a supportive and compassionate coach who has faced challenges and knows firsthand what it takes to come out on the other side with heart and soul intact. So welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Deb. I appreciate it, and I'm so honored to be here.
Well, I'm so glad for you to be joining me. And everyone, we're going to be talking about thoughts, creating feelings, which drive actions, behaviors, and finally results. Because I think that's something we can all benefit from knowing how to apply to business and to your professional life, to your personal life. I think that's something that goes in every case. So, Nancy, before we get started, if you could just share a little bit on why did you feel that coaching was the way for you to go?
I've been a client of a coach for quite a while, and when I was diagnosed with cancer, and my perspective on life changed, and so I knew that I needed to look at changing my career into something that gave me more meaning and was more fulfilling. And I read a book by Martha Beck, and that sent me on my way. I really wanted to learn the processes that she talks about, and so I enrolled in her program, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made.
That sounds wonderful. And I think that, just looking over your bio and the coaching certifications and the, working with horses sounds really appealing. And it sounds like that is a fantastic thing that you're doing there as well.
It's fascinating. It really is fascinating. And the times that I have been on the client side of Equus Coaching, it's amazing what you can learn from horses. And, horses don't lie. So they teach you a lot about yourself, and you have to be authentic with them, because if you're not, you won't get any feedback from them. Yeah,
and that must be very interesting, because I think a lot of times in the world, and particularly in people who are in the business world and things like that, they may be very guarded in how they act, or they may feel they are projecting an image or a brand, and maybe they're not being themselves. And now this kind of coaching and relating to horses, it sounds like you really can't hide behind something. You have to
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
There's no hiding in the round pen.
You see that? I think that would be so helpful for people to be able to get in touch with that and not feel that they have to pretend.
Right.
To be.
Yeah. If you try to pretend that everything is just fine, thank you very much. The horse won't pay attention to you. It won't be until you become authentic and grounded that you'll get some feedback from the horse, or, positive feedback. The feedback that he's ignoring you is a lot of feedback.
You'll get feedback. It might not be what you want to get.
Exactly.
It might not be the kind you're expecting to get, but they're going to let you know how they feel about what you're doing. So, that really sounds fascinating, and I think, that ties into our topic about thoughts creating feelings and all that, then driving what happens in your life. What is the role do you think the mind plays in creating unhappiness, for instance?
Oh, gosh. It's everything. The mind is everything when it creates happiness or unhappiness. And you start with a circumstance. And the example that I use frequently is when I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. So I could have thought, I'm going to die. And my feelings would have been anger or sadness or, complete shutdown, hide under the covers and isolate and just prepare to die, Or you're diagnosed with ovarian cancer and you say, well, that's scary, but I'm going to fight this and I'm going to win. And you do whatever you need to do to go through that process. And I wanted to go through it with dignity and grace. And so I'm not sure how graceful I was about it, but I know that I came out on the other side with my dignity intact. And I didn't hide under the blankets, and I didn't say, why me? I felt like I said, why not me? I'm no different than anybody else, and why shouldn't I have this challenge? Because obviously I need to learn something. And so then you take action, and you get on with it, and the bottom line is, everybody's going to go someday. it's what you do in between when you're born and when you die that matters. It's the process that matters. The destination is going to be the same for all of us. So it's your thoughts that create your reality. And you can think good thoughts or you can think bad thoughts. And so, and I have to utilize that every day, because every day you have a thought that comes into your head, and you can either run with it either way. If it's a negative thought, you can massage that and fondle it and make it grow bigger, and it's pretty soon you've catastrophized everything. Or you can say, okay, this is the situation and I'm going to get on with it.
That's true. That's true. So it sounds like your experience taught you that, well, if I'm going to focus on the negative of this, that I'm really not going to get through this.
Well, it may not have hindered my getting through it, but it certainly would have made the time a lot more miserable.
Yes.
So, I was very lucky. I was diagnosed early, and so, my life expectancy doesn't look like it's going to be shortened any. And so, so that wasn't really an issue for me. It was just, it really is. It's kind of facing your mortality, even though I wasn't diagnosed with a terminal stage of ovarian cancer. When you're diagnosed with something like that, or when you have a disease that is pretty significant, you do have, if you're lucky, you have, it's a wake up call, and you can change your perspective on things. And that's what happened for me. It changed my life for the better.
And that is, something that can come out of an experience like that I'm sure was very, I guess, startling. I don't even know, that's not even the best word to use when you hear things like that. And now it kind of changes everything that you've been thinking and how you've been living.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you learn what's important, what your priorities are. And for me, doing work that was fulfilling was more important than a, pretty healthy paycheck and benefits. When you go the self-employed route, that stuff kind of goes out the window.
Right.
And, but there's, I'm making the best of it. And, I don't have to commute to work other than walking down the hall.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
It's a nice trade-off.
That sounds perfect. And I think that's the thing for a lot of people. They'll realize maybe that when they are very stressed out for, maybe for a stressful job or other things going on, and that doesn't really help them.
Oh, gosh, no.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. And stress can create all kinds of havoc in your body. And I think stress contributed to my diagnosis. And so, if people are suffering from great amount of stress or negativity in their life, you can be sure that it's going to cause a physical issue for them.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
So
that's true.
If we were all taught from a young age, this process of learning that your thoughts create your reality, then, we probably wouldn't have the turmoil that we do. So.
Yeah, that's very true. I think that, and a lot of times people don't even realize how much their thoughts are controlling what they do.
Oh my God, yeah. Thoughts pretty much control everything. So.
Right.
I think people used to sort of laugh at, positive thinking and positive people and, so on and so forth. And, there are things that are going to happen to all of us that are difficult. And, there's an old saying that pain is inevitable and suffering is optional. And I believe that wholeheartedly. You can take a situation and look at it in a variety of ways. And like I say, if it's negative, then you're going to pay the consequences for that.
That's an excellent point. And, when it comes to this kind of thing, I think that a lot of times people overlook thoughts because often there are things that we do we don't even realize that we're doing.
So much of it is unconscious. Yeah, so much of it is. But, negative self-talk, for instance, is it's one of the worst things we can do with ourselves or to ourselves. And so if we can develop self-compassion, then we're way ahead of the game. If you look in the mirror and, first of all, if you get out of bed and you hurt, and you say to yourself, God, I'm getting old or something like that, then, there's your first negative thought for the day, right?
Yes.
And then you go and you look in the mirror and you think, oh my God, what the hell happened to me? There's your second one. So now you're not even up for 5 minutes and you've already given yourself 2 negative messages that, you're getting old and you're not good enough.
Right.
And, so if you can start the day saying thank you, number one, for, I opened my eyes. Thank you very much. And, there's a cartoon, I think, about an older woman getting out of bed and wanting to be the kind of woman that people says, oh crap, she's up. And it's, that's the way I want to be. It's like, I want to be, hang on to your hats because, you never know what could happen. Right. And not in a bad way. Yes. I'm just saying, I'm getting older. I'm 62 years old. I just changed my career at the age of 61. And I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that. I'm proud that I didn't fall into the negative talk of I'm too old.
Yes.
There's not enough time. And God willing, I'll be 80 anyway. I might as well be 80 and a life coach.
Yes. That's great. That's right? True.
So, I'll have 20 years under my belt and true. Yeah.
I think that's an excellent point also because it's something that the conversation I've had with other people that a lot of times people think that they have to make these heavy decisions when they're like 18 or 19. It's like, when you're in college, you're supposed to pick a major and that's supposed to determine your rest of your life. And I'm like, well, how can you do that at that age?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's awful that.
You have no idea.
Yes.
At that age.
It's put on people who haven't been out there in the world and also even just realizing how much things change, especially with technology, how things have changed so quickly that maybe at work or something that you thought existed. At one point now, maybe it's gone away and something else has replaced it. But how would you have known that?
Right. Well, I don't think life coaching even existed when I was 18 years old. So
yes. So that's kind of come about over probably fairly recently if you look at it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've had a wonderful variety of careers in my life, and I have, some great life experience, and so that's one of the things that I bring to the table is my life experience, and how I got through things. And it is positive attitude. It's, you know, it's having the feeling that I can do it.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So
that's true, though. That's true. And I also always think about, particularly about athletes who really have to have their mind game in place, even though they may be in a certain shape for what they're doing. It's not just the body. It always also has to be the mind.
I think, and I'm certainly not an athlete by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I'm not either, so.
But you know, if you listen to any interview with an athlete, an elite athlete, they will tell you that probably 90% of the game is mindset.
Yes.
And you know, they visualize practically every move they make. You know, from the time they hit the swim deck to the time they, you know, hit the driving range or the football field. I mean, they all visualize what it is they're going to do. And you can't do that if you have you know, I'm no good, or, you know, I feel like hell today and this is going to suck, or whatever it is. You know, they have to go out there with a winning attitude, knowing that that is going to play a huge part of the end result. Yes,
that's true. And that's the thing that I think that maybe the average person may not realize is also accessible to them. You're saying that you have done different things with careers and learning and growing. And particularly, I think, you know, when it comes to women entrepreneurs who a lot of times are doing many different things, you know, a lot of times it's on women to do a lot of things at one time. A lot of times when people decide I want to go into business, or I have a side business, or I'm doing this or that, there could be fear, there could be anxiety. Can I do this? Should I do this? Will I get the reinforcement that I need? And what do you think as far as women just kind of overcoming that self-doubt that a lot of times we really have about what we do?
Well, you know, first of all, I don't think there's a magic pill that you can swallow. But developing your self-confidence in any way that you can is key. And for me, being coached was huge. When I was being coached, when I was in training, that was incredibly helpful. And I had a coach before I even thought about becoming a coach, and that was incredibly helpful. And so all of those things, anytime you learn something new about yourself, it boosts your self-confidence. Even if it's something that you think is not necessarily a good characteristic or a good something that you think of in a necessarily positive attitude or a positive way. If you learn about yourself, it increases your awareness. And by increasing your awareness, you become more authentic. And when you're more authentic, when you feel authentic, when you are authentic, your confidence grows, because you know that this is you, and you accept yourself how you are, flaws and all, and you're grounded. And that increases your self-confidence. And so then, from that place, you're able to take chances. And it builds your faith in yourself. And so you take baby steps, right?
Right.
And each step increases your confidence. And then you take another step, and then you start to build momentum. And pretty soon, you look over your shoulder and see how far you've come, and you think, damn.
Right.
Look how far I've come.
Right.
I would have never believed that I would be doing what I'm doing. And, I kind of have to pinch myself, because, I was a drunk, I was a high-functioning alcoholic, and some days I wasn't all that high-functioning. Mm-hmm. And so for me to have made the changes in my life that I've made, and I don't want this to sound like I'm boasting or anything, but I've had the guts to look at my life head on. Mm-hmm. And when you're getting sober, and if you want to stay sober, you have to do that. Mm-hmm. And make some course correction. So, here again, I could have wallowed in the I'm a failure because I'm an alcoholic, or I could have said, well, what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. Pour me another drink, or, don't.
Right. So it sounds like it is really possible for people to say, okay, I may be thinking this way and having these negative thoughts, but I can create this new way of feeling and being.
Right. And one of the first things that you have to do is decide how you want to feel.
That's
right?
a good point. Yeah.
So, do you want to be miserable, or do you want to be happy? If you want to be happy, then you need to change the thoughts that are in your head and stop having a pity party, and change your beliefs, because your thoughts, if you think them often enough, they become a belief. So, you can have a belief that just simply is not true.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
It's not true. And until you can see that belief isn't true, then you can't change it. But once you see that, I don't know, maybe it's the boss that's a jerk, well, maybe when you examine all sides of that issue, you see that, well, in fact, the boss isn't a jerk, and it's your perception that is in question. And so then you can change your feelings about the boss and your thoughts about the boss, and pretty soon now your results are different.
Right.
Your attitude has changed. Your feelings have changed. And so your actions are changing, because you have a thought, and then that turns into a feeling. So, my boss yelled at me, and I'm mad, and, so I'm getting angry, and now I'm not going to talk to my boss. Give him the cold shoulder, right? And pretty soon, you keep that up, and you're going to find yourself without a job. Right? Or, your boss yells at you, and you have the wherewithal and the confidence to say why, or what did you want me to learn from this? Or, having an open conversation. And then you find out that maybe your boss is just having a rotten day. Maybe he had a fight with his wife, and he's taking it out on you. Who knows what could have happened, but now you're not taking it personally.
Right.
Now you are having some compassion for your boss, and if that keeps up, maybe you get a promotion. Right? So just, everything leads, there's all these little steps, and each one leads to something else. And until you understand that your thoughts create your feelings, and those drive your actions, and that gets you the results, then You have to understand that process. And I'm learning from my coach that, if I want a specific result, then these are the actions that I need to take, and these are the thoughts that I need to think, and the feelings I'm going to have to generate in order to make that result happen.
Right.
And so you can look at it from a variety of angles, but it all ends up the same. And critical.
True. And I think that that's a great example when people are dealing with difficult people at work or personally or in business, when you may just have a mindset that you're thinking, oh, this is happening because this person's terrible, or maybe you're beating yourself up. You're terrible.
Right. That inner lizard is, Martha Beck calls it the lizard brain, and your inner lizard. And, I've named mine. Her name is Lulu. And so whenever she starts squawking at me, I tell her, thank you, Lulu, I appreciate your input. Now you can go take a nap. I try not to get mad at Lulu, because then that just,
right,
makes it worse. But, if you can calmly talk to yourself compassionately, and that's the key, is to have some self-compassion, because everybody's human.
Yes.
Everybody's going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to screw up. Everybody's going to, have a bad day.
Yes.
Bad week or a bad month. The key is to not beat yourself up over it and to ask for help.
Yeah.
If you need it,
True.
Ask for some support. Ask for people to cut you some slack.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. A lot of times women don't even think to do that. Women in general don't think.
I think we think that we have to have all of our shit together all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And that, if we're not Wonder Woman, then we're failing.
Right.
And, that's nonsense.
Right.
So, asking for help has become huge for me. And, sometimes I don't do it. Sometimes my husband will say, why didn't you ask me to help you? I'm like, because I wanted to do it myself. And it's like, well, guess what?
Right.
I could have really used your help. And next time I will ask, but old habits die hard sometimes. And, it's not a lack of character to ask for help. And allowing yourself to be vulnerable is one of the most courageous things you can do.
Yeah, I think that is really important to note, particularly for those women who may have a business going on and maybe doing a lot of juggling with different things and feeling like they have to do it all, and never, the slogan, never let them see you sweat, that kind of thing doesn't really work.
Oh, God.
It doesn't work.
No, I'd like to wring the neck of whoever thought of that.
I guess that was, I'm trying to remember where that came from. I guess that was a Nancy Perseverance commercial.
Yeah.
Something like that made it seem like, oh, if you're sweating, something's wrong with you, and that's kind of a normal function. So.
Exactly.
Well, it's crazy. Yeah, that's true, and that's pretty much become something that if you say that, people know exactly what you mean. So it's been imprinted into, I guess, the culture, an advertising slogan, and then people start to take that to heart. Right. Yeah.
And they measure themselves against that.
Yeah.
True. And
it's true.
And it's just bullshit. Yeah. If you don't mind me saying so.
Oh no, please be honest. Please be honest about it. That's good. I think I
have a tendency to not sugarcoat things. So.
We need to be honest about those things. But it's true, though. I think that kind of locks people in professionally. Well, we know it does personally with people feeling they have to show up a certain way in relationships and things like that. But professionally and also in this whole business thing now, I guess with the, the women entrepreneur who may feel that she's got to do it all and run the business and run her personal life and everything else and never appear that she needs any help. That's just a way to burn out and just be very unhappy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's hard when you're, when you meet new people and until you, really develop your self-confidence and your skills and your, just in yourself.
Yes.
To show up and know that you're just as good as anybody in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And that, they may have been in business longer or they may be doing something different than you, but that doesn't reduce your abilities and your genius.
Right.
Everybody has something to offer. And I've learned a ton from, sometimes you just don't expect where you're going to learn things from. It's a complete surprise. And it's so fabulous. So, that comes with just being open and being present. And it's just, I love being in the community of women entrepreneurs. There's just so much to learn from everyone. And, and fortunately, most of the women are very, very willing to share their expertise and share their struggles so that maybe they can help lessen yours.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of women have kind of changed the whole concept of entrepreneurship in terms of how people may have pictured it or what they think it's supposed to be. A lot of women coming into it have kind of really transformed that, and I hope that definitely continues, as more and more women decide that they want to do something themselves, whether they're doing it full-time or part-time or however they're doing it. I hope that will certainly continue because we definitely need more of that. I think so. Nancy, could you please share with everyone where they can find out more about you?
Sure. My website is www.amazingoutlookcoaching.com. And you can reach me at my email, which is nancy@amazingoutlookcoaching.com. And I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn and all those wonderful spots where you try to, help as many people as you can.
And that's really, really important, I think, for people to know that they're not by themselves. They're not out here by themselves. And there's other folks going through something. And there's nothing wrong with letting people know you don't have all the answers. It's not really about that.
Oh, God, absolutely. One of the pivotal things for me was realizing that I wasn't in the boat by myself. And every adverse situation I've been in, just realizing that I wasn't alone, that there have been people before me, breaking trail, and, if they can do it, so can I. And they're going to help me. They're going to teach me how to do this. And so, that's what I hope to do, is to inspire people, women especially, who are over 50, that they can change. They can do anything they want to do, and that they shouldn't let fear stop them or their beliefs stop them.
Right.
it doesn't serve anyone to not be happy.
Mm-hmm. True. That's very, very true. And I think a lot of the, thinking that a lot of people may have in the culture is kind of based on, I think, when people may not have lived that long and had long, productive lives, and the idea that, well, you get to this point and I guess you're not supposed to do anything more. And I'm like, well, that's not even the case anymore. It hasn't been for some time. So,
right.
How can you even say that?
I mean, really and truly, I don't ever plan on retiring.
Right.
I have found something that I love to do, and I plan on doing it until I can't.
Right.
Or for one reason or another. And I hope that that's, about 10 days before I go 10 toes up.
Right.
So,
right.
I really, it's different now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's too many things that I want to do, business-wise and just living-wise that, retirement isn't part of that picture.
Right.
Now I'm not saying that I'm not going to enjoy my life, because I am. That's, that's part of the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to really enjoy myself. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to be helping people along the way while I'm at it.
I think that's the thing. A lot of people really want to do. They don't want to just sit, and I think the idea of that is based on kind of, how things used to be.
Exactly.
Some people still have that idea.
Right. Work for 35 years, get your gold watch.
Right.
Sit in your rocking chair for the rest of your life. Or play golf, or, and that's not
right.
But, I'd rather keep active. And by that, I mean, working with women and helping them change their lives for the better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that's one of the things about women entrepreneurs that, I've talked to on the show particularly. They really want to help others, and they want to be engaged, and they want to do those things. It's not like they're wanting to, quote unquote, retire from life. It's like they want to find this thing that they enjoy, and they want to keep doing that.
Exactly.
It's a totally different mindset. It's a different way of thinking about your work, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I think it's different if you're working for a corporation and it's not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Then, you do look forward to retirement so that you can do what you want to do. But so many people are retiring like me. Mm-hmm. Their corporate job and starting their second career, later in life, and I call it rewiring, not retiring. So, it's, this is my, my third act, so to speak. And I'm going to make it the best one of the whole play.
Mm-hmm. And that makes it perfect sense, because as people grow and they learn and they change, you're at a certain point in your life where you understand so much more and you've experienced so much, and you're bringing all that to the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
People worry about getting old and not being valued, which, I think ageism is probably real. But, I think if you consider the wisdom that you're bringing to the table and not the wrinkles, then
right.
you're going to be bringing, you're going to show up a whole lot better. Mm-hmm. So
exactly. I think that's key, to not disregard what you have learned and been through in your life experience.
Very important.
Yeah, and not throw that away or think it doesn't have value, because obviously it does, because you've come through that. So you can certainly be in a position to help others. If that's, if that's where you're led, then that's something that you really should follow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I totally agree. So, Nancy, this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm sure we can continue. But on this, because this really it's something I think everybody can learn from, and everyone experiences in their own way, So do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, I think we covered quite a bit. I sure appreciate the invitation to be here, and it's really been fun.
Yes, I'm so glad that you could join me, because I think this is such an interesting topic for women, particularly to get something out of, no matter where they are in their career, in their business, whatever. This affects everyone in how they talk to themselves, they think about themselves, and it's something we all need to take in and realize that a lot of times we end up beating ourselves up when we don't need to. As you said, to show self-compassion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. I like that idea. I think we definitely need to have more of that. So, Nancy, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been wonderful to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's really been a delight.
Well, you are so welcome. So everyone, I know you enjoyed this show. Please share this on social media. Share it with your friends. Stop by and give your feedback. Visit Nancy's site and her social media. See what she's up to and see, what other things perhaps, if you'd like to work with her or see what else she's sharing. Please make sure that you do that. And once again, to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we will see you again next time. Bye. Thanks for joining us. You can also join in the conversation on Facebook.com/Women Entrepreneurs and on the website, WomenEntrepreneursSecrets.com. And don't forget to listen in on dvcoach.podomatic.com and on iTunes.